Okay, so here we are. And there's that squeak. You can hear that. You know, it's a funny squeaky sound. But you couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant. Alright, I just want to go ahead and take this negative cable off the battery. Kind of keep anything from happening without my permission. It's kind of loose, kind of woppy jawed. Let's take this old rag here. Stick up under there. Just keep that isolated somewhat. And see if we can unhook some of these. That. That back in its home where it came from. And let's see now. Loosen that up. Got a ground wire hooked up there. Get this up out of here. Take this over to the workbench and see what we can figure out. All right, we're going to use this bad boy here again. To see if we can better pinpoint where the squeak's coming from. There's a little blackness right there on that. Like something's going on. Maybe the belt's just kind of fraying against the pulley or something. Definitely louder in the back, like I found before. Okay. What I'm going to try to do is separate this. Take these 3 bolts out here. see if I can pull this apart. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and put a mark on here just to make sure I line that up correctly when I put it back together. Alright. Something like that. That'll be good enough. Alright. This action. Okay, so we got this. That's going to be in the way. Definitely something holding it right here. Probably that bad boy right there. We're just figuring this out as we go. We're going to do it together. Some of y'all out there already know how to do this. Probably mess with these all the time, but I do not. It's been a long time since I've messed with one. So those are brushes. Yep. There's probably, yeah, there is a hole in the side of that. Push those brushes down in there and stick a little Allen wrench or pin or something through there to hold those down while you reinstall that. If that was not holding it down, I wonder if that was the source of the squeaking. Let's try something. Get this all back together. I don't hear any squeaking. Yes, I'm kind of suspicious now that those brushes were squeaking there on that. Let's just kind of reseat that. Put some bolts back in there. Figuring this out as we go. My marks all lined up. No squeaking. It's starting to look suspiciously like this deal here was the source. He grabbed me a little Allen wrench that I could fit in that hole right there. See if we can start this one in here first. This is closer to the alignment hole. It's just a little bit too big to make the alignment happen. Spring popped out. Here's the other one. Alright, let me get a little bit smaller pin to go in there. Alright, how about a TIG rod? Got us a little TIG rod here. Let's see what we can do about this. Now that's the ticket. That slid in there. I don't know if you can see that. That's holding that first brush down. Alright, now try to get this second brush down in there. There we go. Now they're both held in there. Alright, now again, no squeaking. Check these. Alright, let's pop that back down in there. Now there's no squeaking. Oh, there's a little bit there. Very light. Okay. I don't know if you can hear that. My leg burner is running over there. All right, so so now let's go ahead and pop this back out again. The squeaking's not nearly as bad as it was before, but I scarred up that surface of that one brush a little bit. Maybe they just got to be sanded, or I don't know. I really just don't know. I'm gonna do a little bit of research. Try to find out what's going on. Okay, so definitely the brushes are causing the squeaking. That's good, we've got that found out. Now I got to do a little bit of digging and find out if there's anything I can do to stop those brushes from squeaking. Maybe that just means replacing that, that little module there, I don't know. Or replacing the brushes. I got to do some digging to find out. I got this number off of this right here, and I can't find that on Amazon, eBay, anywhere that I've looked so far. It may be a standard part that's cross-referenceable. You can cross over to a standard part number for a Denso or something. I don't know. I haven't found that yet. I'm sure you can get it from PowerMaster directly, but I'm not even sure I need it. I mean, the brushes look like they've got a lot of life left in them. And what I'm gonna do is pull this out, because I did a little bit more research. And what I did to sand those brass contact rings, they call them, what I was calling an armature, which is, I don't know. I thought that was what you called that, because that's what I always called them in a starter before or whatever. So I'm probably wrong about that, but that won't be the first time I've been wrong about something. It ain't gonna be the last, let me tell you. Okay, get those out of there. That was just a little experiment I was trying. Alright, so what my research has shown me is that this shininess on here actually is a bad thing. That those get kind of slick and glazed over, and that's what causes those brushes to kind of chirp on there. So we're going to take some 400, rough them up a little bit. So what I want to do is I'm going to see if I can take this back off of this now since I have the brushes out. There we go. Put that bearing up out of there. Alright. Now, get in here. Yep. I really don't know how much is acceptable to sand on those, but I'm gonna try not to go overboard. I would like to get those grooves out of there though. I'm also gonna dress these down on the grinder. I don't know if this is the right thing to do or not, but I'm doing it. Try not to get too crazy with it. You can replace these, but like I said, probably have to go directly to Fire Master to get them. So knock them down straight, just like that. Make them flat and let them wear back in. Like I said, it makes sense in my head, but that don't mean a whole lot. Go. That's ready. Go ahead and pop this back in there where it goes. So we've got those all sanded up, looking good. Or at least I think they look good. They might look bad, you know, to somebody who knows what they're doing. But to me, they look pretty good. That back on there. Just a few light tippity taps. I'm not going to tighten them up with a ratchet just yet. Pop this bad boy back down in there. Engage our brushes. I don't know why they call those brushes. They ain't got no bristles on them. All right, now let's listen. No squeaking yet. pretty smooth. Okay, all indications are that that actually fixed this issue, which is great because it's simple and cheap. It's a free repair. So how long it'll last, I don't know. But the good thing is those brushes are replaceable. So if I can't buy that whole unit, at least I can buy the brushes and replace them. You just got to screw the holes on the other end of them in, the terminal there. So, well, I may just go ahead and call PowerMaster and order another set. And you know what? They might have, this alternator may have come with another set. Now that I think of it, if I can find the box to it, which is, you know, it's not out of the question because I do keep stuff like that. But if I can find the box to it, I'll look and see. But if not, you know, I can always order some. All right, let's go ahead and pop this alternator back on there since we've got it fixed. Or at least we're pretty sure we've gotten it fixed. All right, we got it all mounted back up on there again. Quiet as can be. Now that we have the squeaking alternator issue resolved, it's time to get back to the radiator problem, which is not really going that well. We went through a lot, we made a lot of measurements, we did as much as we could, and it just turns out that this 4-core radiator is not going to work. I could make it work by doing some fabricating, but I don't want to do that. I don't think I need to do that. This thing never overheated before with a 3-core radiator in it. So I believe with a 3-core aluminum radiator, it's going to be just fine as well. So I have sent the 4-core radiator back and ordered a 3-core radiator. And hopefully when that comes in, we'll be able to use this new fan and shroud on the engine side of the radiator. And it's going to fit in there and everything just fine. Hopefully, the most we'll have to do is probably cut that nipple down on the water pump and change the cap screws in there. So maybe not even that, but that's what's going on. We're waiting on that to come in now. And as soon as that radiator gets here, we're going to pop that in there and wrap this project up. Okay, since we're still waiting on a replacement radiator to replace the one that came damaged, we're going to go ahead and mock up our cooling fan and shroud with this damaged radiator. All right, first I want to see, so this is the driver's side. This is the side the plug needs to be on. So let's go ahead and make sure that our fan fits, and it does fit the radiator perfectly. Okay, our shroud. The old shroud. Looks like the bolt holes all line up. The mounting holes are perfect for this. There is a gap though between the two flanges. Not really sure why that is. We have to use some spacers between there. Just so I don't, you know, really crank down on the shroud and bend it. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and bolt this shroud on just to hold the fan in place. I'm not going to go ahead and put the zip ties through the radiator core yet at this point. But I'm going to go ahead and try to use the shroud to hold the fan in place while I mock it up in the car. Okay, so we've got the fan shroud temporarily mounted. These bolt holes, they line up close enough to get the bolts in, but they definitely don't line up perfectly. It's no big deal. I can modify them however much I need to. Like I said, this is temporary. I just want to hold it in place for now. All right, let's go mock it up in the car. All right. Cautious optimism coming right up. Alright, let's get this wiring out of the way. Alright, let's drop this down in there. Be real careful not to damage it in any way. More. Oh man. Are you kidding me? Look at that right there. This thing is within 1/8 of an inch of fitting. So we're going to take about a 1/2 inch or so off of that water pump nipple and put some low head cap screws in that water pump pulley, and we're going to be in business. Well, let's get in here and see if we can take some of these out. Got a little Loctite on there. Some of this stuff on there. I only want to take 2 out at a time. I'm sure you get a little more of that on there. Might not be able to get my impact in there. Probably do. Oops. Work it back and forth a couple times. There we go. All right. I must have had some heavy duty Loctite on those. Probably don't need anything more than this 242. Encourage them to stay put. These cap screws are pretty good about locking down anyway. Whoops. Pour my Loctite out everywhere. it looked like Gomer Pyle worked on it. Okay, that's pretty good. That saved us a lot. Now we're going to get in there with the bandsaw. We're going to whack that nipple off down there, even with those bolts. That's barely scratching that. I would not have expected that to be that hard. Plan B. All right, I got everything covered up in here. I don't want all this grinding grit to get everywhere. We're going to try to get in here and cut this off. I really didn't expect this to be case hardened like that. That was a surprise. Let's see if we can get in here. I don't want to damage my screws. Main thing is I don't want to grind the head of those screws down where I can't get them off with an Allen wrench, and I want to cut this as straight as possible so I have a little bit less cleanup as possible. Doing pretty good. I'm starting to get to where this is touching the pulley now. There we go. All right. I believe we've got the clearance we need right now from between the radiator and the pulley for the fan and the shroud. So let's go ahead and see if we can mock that up again. All right. Moment of truth, folks. What do we got? Oh boy. We have about 100 thousandths clearance. Good Lord. I might go ahead and try to take some more off of that pump nipple just to give a little extra clearance. I mean, it ain't going to go nowhere. Once this thing is tightened up, it is where it is, you know. But man, that's close. Get down here and shine a light down there so you can see. Of course, I don't have this radiator bolted up yet either. I might gain a little bit. Yeah, that might be 1/8 of an inch. It's probably 1/8 of an inch. It ain't much extra, I can tell you that. But it does work, it does fit. Awesome news. My new radiator finally arrived. Right here in the old box. So let's get it out of the box and swap our fan and shroud over to the good radiator. Not saying that's a bad one, don't really know for sure, but I know, well, I don't know this one's good either because I haven't gotten it out of the box yet, but we're gonna hope for the best. Let's get it out of the box, take a look at it. All right. There we go. Now, we're hoping that third time's a charm, as they say. The other radiator didn't have those on the side, just had top and bottom. Let's see here. One thing you might notice too, that's different from these two radiators, or that's different between these two radiators and the first one that I bought. And I don't know if you can pick it out, but there is a difference in these radiators. And I just got lucky to find one of these. So, if you remember correctly, the first radiator I bought, the 4-core one, had both the radiator hose hookups on this side. And this one has the lower one over here, which is ideal. This is what I wanted, right? But they didn't, according to the guy I talked to on eBay, they didn't offer that. However, somehow I was able to find it from the same company. I guess he just didn't know all the models they sold. Because I asked him, I said, the big block radiator for this is a 24-inch radiator, or this is a 20-inch radiator. I said, but the difference is the big block radiator has the lower radiator hose hookup on the driver's side. And he said they don't offer that. So I did a little bit more digging and went on their actually Champion Cooling's website and found this radiator, looked it up on eBay, and there it was. Same guy, same supplier, sold it. And this is, apparently this radiator, this design, is to convert a 289 66 to 68 Mustang with a 289 to a late model 5.0, which is what I have in this car, because the water pump exits on this side, or it actually enters on that side. This is what I needed. So, and I was able to buy a couple of Fox body hoses, and hopefully those will work. Haven't really checked that out yet, but I'm pretty sure they will. I may have to trim them down a little bit, but I'm pretty sure those will work. But anyway, looks pretty good. I think what I want to do next is pop the fan off of here and the shroud and all that. Test fit it over here just to make sure it fits. And if it does, then I'm going to go ahead and put the zip tie deals they've got through this radiator to hold the fan on, put the shroud and everything on there permanently, make some spacers to go in here to space that out a little bit so it doesn't squeeze real tight. It's just a little bit better to do it that way, I think. And so you don't squeeze it down real tight, and you can buckle this, bend those, bend the radiator ones on the tank. I don't want to do that. And then, you know, possibly put too much pressure on the fan, break it or whatever. I think they just made this radiator because I noticed that the welds on this one aren't as nice So it's almost like they hurried through getting it done for me because they were really fast getting this one out to me. But you know, the wheels look okay. They're just not as good as the ones on that one. And it's not as shiny. You know, it's brushed here where they went around it with a wire wheel to clean it up. And it's bigger. There's a lot bigger beads here than on this one, if you notice. And this one definitely is a lot more polished. They didn't take time to polish this one, which I don't really care. You know, I may actually brush finish the whole thing at some point. I don't care about that. I just want it to work. As long as it don't leak and the engine runs cool, I'm happy. So let's pop that off and put it over here. So you can probably see, because of the really small amount of clearance that I had between here and the water pump nipple and the bolts for this, I actually pulled this down tight and zip tied it. I'm actually going to that's probably okay. I want to make sure that this doesn't wander its way into the bolts, you know. Cut this off. Tidy that up a little bit. That out of the way. All right. Warp speed commence. Ooh-wee. What was that, about warp factor 6? Oh, ask Mr. Scott and let me know. All right. That looks pretty centered up. I like it. Okay, a slight detour here. So I went and got my Dremel out because these bolts just almost fit through these slotted holes, but they don't fit. They fit through these. Like I said, those were punched out. I think this thing was built in kind of a hurry, so hopefully it'll be all right. But the good thing is they appear to line up better on this radiator than on that radiator. So that's a good thing. But here's the detour I'm talking about. I have decided I don't want to make spacers, and I don't think I should have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make a mark all the way around this, about 1/8 of an inch, which I'm thinking is going to be enough. And I'm going to grind this opening out a little bit bigger to where it'll fit this fan better, because I really want it to sit down on top of these flats here. That's what I want. And I believe if I take an 1/8 inch around it, then I believe it'll do that. And not only that, but it'll fit all the way down onto these flanges if I do that good and tight. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and start marking this. I'm going to try to use this compass here. It's a scribing tool. But I'm going to put a pin in it. But I'm not going to put this one in because it don't write. All right, so I think this old boy here, I might get lucky and this might fit in there. But probably won't. I'll probably have to zip tie it to it. It don't look like it's going to fit. Okay. Let me grab a couple of zip ties. Let's just see here. That looks pretty close right there. Turn that around the right way. Oop, about impaled myself. Okay. Let's put another one of those on there. Yeah. Now, we're going to use precise measurements. Slide that up just a little bit. Oh yeah, it's looking good. That is about right. That's about 1/8 of an inch. I mean, I'm pretty confident. There we go. Let's get to grinding. Now this is going to take a while, so we're really going to have to speed this one up. So, Mr. Sulu, warp factor 11. Let's see if our shroud fits now. Definitely close. Definitely close. We just about nailed that. A little bit on the top and the bottom. This thing will fit right on there. Okay, let's take care of that right quick. Okay, now let's take a look. Money, like a glove. Make sure all of our holes are lined up. Then we'll pull the shroud off and mount the fan. Let's dump all this stuff out of here on my little table here. Looks like we got some foam pads to protect the radiator with. These little feet. Looks like these feet go like that. They've got to line up in these fins, which they do. Right where I've got it, they line up pretty good. All right. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Almost seems sinful to do this to this radiator, but it's got to be done. Work your way through it. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Send it off of here. Over. Delicately. low enough to where I can get my shroud on. Not all the way down flush. Okay. Let's take a look here. It's pretty. Now all we gotta do is mount it up in the car and we'll be good to go. It's gonna be kind of iffy. Oh yeah. We've got 3/16, probably 1/4 of an inch. I think we got a good 1/4 inch now. I'm comfortable with that for sure. Okay. I already have the lower radiator hose on, but there's an issue with that. I'm not even sure that hose is going to work. I'm going to have to do a little bit of investigating here, figure out what to do about that. Just kind of want to mark where this hose is, and I'm just going to kind of visualize it on this belt here. All right, let's pull this back out of there. Okay, so ended up making 2 cuts on this. First cut, I made, kind of here. Cut that off, kind of like that. I don't know, somewhere. It was turned some way. And then I cut this off of here. So it was kind of like that initially. And now we got this. And I believe that's all we need. So, put a hose clamp up on there. All right, now. All right, let's grab the radiator. All right. Hose out of the way. All tightened up. We've got a good 5/16 of an inch there. That is awesome. Plenty of clearance. As long as we don't run this thing into anything. All right, everything's buttoned up, tightened up, and looking good. I think all that's left to do now is to add the coolant. We're probably going to end up with an air bubble because it did drain out through the bottom radiator hose. The block's drained out and the thermostat's in it. So we're going to have to heat cycle it a few times probably to get all the air bubbles out of it. So we'll just keep an eye on it. So this is the full strength stuff. So we're going to have to put a gallon of this and a gallon of water. Here we go. All right. Let's take this off here out of the way for right now. Go ahead and put our radiator cap on. A little snap, crackle, pop there. Now let's see if she'll start. Oh boy. Radio's on. All right. Fuel pump. What do you think? Cycle the pump again. It's running. Sound real good. I don't know why that tachometer is working. It's saying 4,500 RPMs. That's peculiar. Some weird stuff happening. Well, we got the IX settled down. We're in closed loop. (182 degrees). TPS at 0, right where it's supposed to be. IX between 2 and 6 most of the time. I might have to adjust that a little bit more. But as of right now, we're in pretty good shape. Running for a little while. Sounds good. You see that alternator is still squeaking, so I'm going to take that off. Sounds about right. All right, that's going to bring this video to a close. Car's running good. I'm going to send that alternator back to Power Master. Yeah, Power Master. I'm going to send that alternator back to Power Master and get them to fix that squeak. We're ready to go drag racing. Well, Fan kicked on. Uh-oh, that ain't good. Well, I don't know what just happened, but when that fan kicked on, it destroyed the radiator. Bummer. Well, I don't know if something came apart on the fan or if it's something that I did. I really don't know what I could have done to cause that. Well, I'm going to end this video here. I guess I'll be buying another radiator.